native land, true patriot love in all thy sons' command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North is strong and free. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for
package from Visions Electronics. If a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in today's game, thanks to Safeway's Touchdown to Win promotion. And if a second kickoff is returned for a TD, you could also win $1 million. Good luck, Lisa. Good luck, Owls and Ticats, Rod Black, Dwayne Ford, and the call of the East Final.
CFL Eastern Final.
Two great young quarterbacks at the helm of their respective teams today. Zach Collaros has been tremendous for the Hamilton Tiger Cats this season. He's 8-3 in his last 11 games. It's his first career playoff start. Also making his first career playoff start, the only guy who's been hotter the last 11 weeks, Jonathan Crompton of the Montreal Alouettes. 9-2 as a starter this season. He won his first career playoff start last week in his first career East Final today.
Tom Higgins' team has come full circle. 1-7 they began the season. Finished 9-9. Won last week to advance here, beating the BC Lions. Kent Austin's team 1-6. Another complete turnaround. And so these two teams that have done the spinorama meet here at Tim Hortons Field. Tiger Cats, Alouettes, and we have kickoff. Let the Eastern Final begin. Dominic Ellis has the football, and he's dragged down on the far sideline near the 35-yard line. Jonathan Crompton, second playoff start in the Canadian Football League. Here are our starters to watch, brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, where custom advice comes standard.
Jonathan Crompton's going to rely on all of these guys. Jeff Parrott leads an offensive line that needs to be dominant today. Good in the run game. They've allowed just 8 sacks in their last 9 games as a group. Deron Carter, third in the league in terms of receiving yards per game. He and S.J. Green offer that huge big play potential. And of course, that ground game, Terrell Sutton is out. They're going to rely again on Brandon Rutley, who had 98 yards on the ground a week ago.
Play action right away, and the rush was on. And right in the face of his old buddy, Jonathan Crompton, is Simone Lawrence. Two guys who spent some time together in San Diego in the National Football League.
And Simone Lawrence, of course, key to this defense, 5th in the CFL in tackles, but he does it all in terms of pass rush and coverage as well. Eric Norwood has been the most dominant pass rusher in the league since Labor Day with 11 sacks in that time frame. Keep an eye on that matchup on the corner between Delvin Breaux and Deron Carter on the outside.
Here they come again. More heat. Crompton going for Brandon London, who can't hang on. Covered downfield. Brandon London tried to curl back to the football. Almost had it. And a very quick 2-and-out for the Montreal Alouettes.
Well, Brandon London had a step on the corner out to the wide side of the field. Courtney Stephen. But the ball just didn't quite get there, so London unable to run under it. You saw Crompton under the pressure from the rookie middle linebacker Taylor Reed, affecting that throw.
Sean White, terrific year punting the football. Brandon Banks, terrific year returning the football. Finds the corner, and the Tiger Cats will scrimmage near their 40-yard line. Their first series. Zach Collaros, a year ago, he was down the road in Toronto. They made a big free agent signing to get Zach Collaros here, and he has excelled.
Well, he certainly has 6 300-plus yard games for him this season.
Return, holding, number 35, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Among those he's going to lead on, of course, Luke Tasker, who led this team in receiving. He's going to get a little help with Andy Fantu's back in that receiving corps today. Nick Grigsby, 93 yards on the ground last time these teams met. Highest total by a Ticat running back this season. And of course, the aforementioned Brandon Banks has become one of the most versatile weapons in the Canadian Football League this season.
Holding penalty on the return, so they're back at their 24-yard line. Nick Grigsby with the first carry for the Tiger Cats. Marc-Olivier Brouillette and Chip Cox with the tag team tackle, pickup of 8 yards.
This veteran-laden defense for the Alouettes, of course, one of those key vets. Gerald Brown turned in a monster game last week against the BC Lions in that East Semi. Bear Woods has been the catalyst since coming back from the 6-game injured list early in the season, has been remarkable in the middle. And if Gabriel Napton comes back at DN this week, he had 3 sacks against Hamilton in September. Brian Brakowski out with an injury. We'll see a lot of Napton at the DN spot today.
Second down to a first down. What a pickup late in the season for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Nick Grigsby, who was released by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. In fact, he asked for his release in Winnipeg. A guy who was near the top of the rushing race in the Canadian Football League at the time.
Well, Nick Grigsby burst out to a great start in the Canadian Football League, rushed for over 100 yards in his first game of the year. May have stagnated a little bit as the year went on, but that Week 20 performance for Hamilton, those 93 yards, his highest total since Week 1, as he seems to have found new life here behind the Ticat offensive line.
Andy Fantuz is in the ball game, starting. There's the delayed draw, 3 straight running plays for Nick Grigsby. Andy Fantuz has been slowed by a hamstring injury, has been out of the lineup for a while. There was a question mark as to whether the former star in Saskatchewan at Western University as well would make the start today. There he is.
Yeah, certainly a game time decision. Encouraging, considering he didn't practice the first couple days of this week. Eased into it slowly, but the Tiger Cats feel they're going to be able to get enough out of Andy Fantuz here to get him in the lineup today. We'll see what kind of space he can create for those around him. Bakari Grant, Luke Tasker et al. In that receiving corps.
Second down, first throwing down for the Cats. Now the pocket closes, and it's nearly picked off on the corner. Jeff Tisdale back at the corner for the Alouettes last year. Had 7 picks, 5 interceptions this season.
That's matchups going on the outside. Here's what happened on the inside. It looked like Collaros might have had a shot to Tasker initially as he made that in cut against Gerald Brown. But Collaros couldn't find a throwing lane there. Forced to settle for that outside look.
Justin Medlock ready to boot it to Marty Gilliard. No James Rogers, one of their best returners. He's out of the lineup. Gilliard will handle the returns. Could be no yards here. No flag. And a fumble football, and now he got it back. Good coverage down the field. And Jonathan Crompton ready to get back to work here in Hamilton in the Eastern Final.
There's such an adrenaline rush. Everybody always dreams about being the quarterback in the big games. I'm in my mind, the biggest game of my career.
The CFL playoffs on TSN are brought to you by Wendy's Bacon Portobello Mushroom Melt. Back and available for a limited time. Wendy's. Now that's better. Inside the huddle, the Alouettes. Jonathan Crompton. Second season in the Canadian Football League, last year in Edmonton. Now with the Owls, a swing pass up to Brandon Rutley. Cuts back. And Rutley very close to a first down near the midfield stripe. 27-year-old Jonathan Crompton from Asheville, North Carolina. He has been one of the main reasons for this turnaround.
Yeah, he certainly has. And Jonathan Crompton has been what you would label as the consummate game manager. He's not a guy who's put up huge numbers, hasn't lit it up. But the fact is, he's been very sound, hasn't made mistakes, and the bottom line, he's won football games. The key stat for any quarterback.
Short yardage, Tanner Marsh comes in. Marsh, who got some starts last year, and of course this is all in the era AC after Calvillo. Anthony Calvillo for so many years, the legend in Montreal. Retired before this season, of course. Had his number retired this season. And there was supposed to be an adjustment period, some withdrawal. Jonathan Crompton went from the AC era to the JC era.
Yeah, he certainly has a completely different personality and approach. But what he did, I believe, was settle down a team that was feeling a little bit of distress early in the year.
A lot of motion in the backfield, and Rutley handles the mail. Former star at San Jose State, a guy who spent some time here in Hamilton. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And now is with the Alouettes. And as a spare part becomes a big part in the playoffs.
Well, he certainly has. The importance of this run game. Brandon Whitaker went down in September. They had Terrell Sutton, who had already been on the roster. Sutton took on a bigger role, was very productive in the backfield for this team. Sutton goes down in the playoffs, and Rutley is the next man up.
2nd and 5. Out to the flat for Gilliard. A little shake and a shimmy up near the 40-yard line. Rico Murray with the tackle. And on 2nd and 5, a successful second down conversion. Jonathan Crompton to Marty Gilliard.
And Gilliard, the man motion across that formation, just a quick hitter out to the flat. Right now, the Alouettes are doing a very good job. Credit to offensive coordinator Ryan Dinwiddie in terms of play calling, keeping the Ticats off balance a little bit. Hamilton on the first play of this series started with 5 D linemen on the field anticipating run. They're getting play action, they're getting pass, they're doing a nice job mixing it up.
Pounding it up the middle this time, just a 3-yard pickup.
So much attention has been given this season, Rod, to the changes to the coaching staff, the additions of former NFL quarterbacks, Turf Schoner, Jeff Garcia, working with the quarterbacks, working with the receivers. But I think a big part of what it's done has allowed there to be a little bit less pressure, quite frankly, on Ryan Dinwiddie to do too much and allow him to focus on his play calling.
Play call here, likely a throwing down, 2nd and 7. Here comes the heat. There goes the football. Gilliard again has a first down and more. Marty Gilliard, another player who has not seen a lot of playing time for the Alouettes, getting into the lineup because of injuries the last few weeks, and he's capitalizing.
Well, he certainly is in motion a lot, releasing from the backfield. You've got a guy who can create some mismatch problems, Gilliard, with his speed. Particularly as the Ticats, when he's in motion, they're trying to deal with switches, trying to communicate who's got him, getting some different looks with a guy who, as you said, is playing a bigger role than we've seen offensively all year.
Crompton has his man down near the goal line. It's a touchdown. S.J. Green hauls it in, and the first score of the game goes to the Alouettes.
I told you, I'm not talking about it.
S.J. Green.
We tried to tell y'all.
So much talk this week. The Owls came in as they're talking about trying to tell you all, but the fact that they said they were coming in and they were only thinking about one thing.
All
winning.
about the win, absolutely. And this was a team that lost here in week 20, and it cost them a chance to be hosting this game. Cost them a bye last week, but they certainly demonstrated against the BC Lions that they were a team motivated to get back here for another shot at the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
S.J. Green in his office, the end zone in the Eastern Final.
It's exhilarating. I live to make those plays. It's a great feeling.
Green, the pass-catching machine, told us yesterday, failure is not an option.
Going along with the philosophy all along, and here, this is a matchup he felt he could win. He's working against Brandon Stewart. He's going to stem him to the outside to move him and then swim back to the inside. He gets a great release here. There's that instant separation. Ball on the money from Crompton, and the big boy fighting his way to the end zone. The look on Kent Austin's face says it all. That was knife through butter on that drive for the Montreal Alouettes.
S.J. Green, numbers down this season, had some injuries early on, but in the clutch, may not be many better in this game. Terrell Sinkfield looks to fake reverse it, and Sinkfield high-stepping up near the 40-yard line to the 42-yard line. Nice return from Terrell Sinkfield. Good field position again. Midway through the first quarter, 7-0 Alouettes.
Oh, this is a good 1-2 punch on the return team for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, as both Sinkfield and Brandon Banks have returns for touchdowns this season. Very tough to, as teams like to kick away from a given returner, from a team's primary returner. With Hamilton, you don't have an option. You're going to be in trouble either way.
Special teams coordinator Jeff Reinbold likes what he sees. Zach Collaros. Shotgun. And off, and some heavy hitting down there. Winston Venable with the collision, and a penalty flag flies after that run. There's Bear Woods. What an outstanding season for him.
Play will go back 15.
So this back 15 goes against the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Hamilton number 55. A 15-yard penalty is enforced from the end of the play. It will be second down.
Tim O'Neill penalized. Our referee today is Andre Proulx.
The guard, Tim O'Neill, you see him towards the bottom of your screen. He's going to head for John Bowman just as this play is whistled dead. Takes a shot at the veteran defensive end. That's going to earn him a flag, something that's been pretty consistently called away from the ball this season, the unnecessary shots.
Hamilton, most penalties in the CFL this season, something they had to clean up. Sinkfield drops. A flag is also dropped. Two teams with a lot of animosity between them. Dates back to the final game of the regular season. A lot of trash talk going on, particularly from the Montreal side this week. Although they say it wasn't trash talk, it was mostly just
illegal
boasting.
Block, ends to the face. Montreal number 12, 10-yard penalty. Second down will be repeated.
For the most part, the Montreal players suggest there was nothing directed in terms of criticizing the performance or the ability of opposing players, but merely trying to get their own team fired up and express their confidence. As S.J. Green put it, we're just stating facts.
2nd and 9 now. Bear Woods healthy, getting a chance to play this year and excelling. 3-man rush, time for Collaros. Nope, down he goes. The sack. Gabriel Napton brings down Zach Collaros as the pocket closed quickly.
Gabriel Napton, second on the Montreal Alouettes with 9 sacks during this regular season. He proves to be a perfect complement to John Bowman on the other side. Bowman had 12 teams not able to concentrate and focus so much on Bowman. With that balance coming from his bookend, the first-year player.
Justin Medlock to Deron Carter. Slot back turned returner. Son of Chris Carter, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Alouettes lead early here. They have 7 points. And they have 1 sack in the CFL Eastern Final. May not have been Mark Messier or Joe Namath, but Bear Woods guaranteed victory this week. Last week, let's go down to Matthew Shinetti.
Absolutely, Rod. And Dwayne, to expand a point that you were saying, these aren't personal attacks. Bear Woods has seen his guys just perform week in and week out after that 1-7 start. He said, listen, we just know we're going to win. On the Ticats side, we tried to get them to talk, but they basically went ahead and said, listen, we just had to worry about preparing for ourselves. But Ken Austin said something pretty interesting. You know, everyone forgets we were 1-6 and we were 2-7. That's kind of interesting, guys.
Indeed. Everybody has talked so much, Matthew and Dwayne, about the remarkable, extraordinary turnaround. The best in CFL history from the Alouettes at 1-7. The Cats weren't far behind, 1-6, and both teams finished 9-9.
Yeah, and both turnarounds obviously having a little bit to do with the quarterbacks. Jonathan Crompton taking over in Montreal. Collaros coming back from injury for the Cats.
Crompton winging it out for Brandon London on the fly. Little fade pattern. Can't connect. So again, the Alouettes will have to kick this football away. So much happened to this Montreal team, though, from the beginning of the season. Tom Higgins taking over and then firing his offensive coordinator, Rick Warman, in training camp virtually. No Anthony Calvillo, so many injuries, and even Tom Higgins had to be on the hot seat there for a while.
Yeah, but the biggest thing for Tom Higgins, and anybody who's known Tom for a long time will recognize, one of his greatest strengths is his consistency. He didn't panic, he stayed the course. The players bought in and managed to get things turned around.
Brandon Banks is sprung. Look out here. Brandon Banks. Penalty flag. Down to the 10. He's going to walk in, but he knows this is coming back. Fireworks go off, but a premature celebration here. Because of that orange piece of nylon on the field.
During the return, holding, Hamilton, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Brandon Banks just spiked his helmet after spiking the football. And a big oops on this return. Brandon Banks had gone the distance.
Well, the flag came as Banks had only the kicker to beat. We'll see if we can detect it here. Watch for the flag in the background.
Right there,
Likely, perhaps on Bo Landry, number 23. Tough to say.
So that is negated. Cats take over at their 46. Play action again. Collaros to Luke Tasker, and Tasker, the son of Steve Tasker. Such an interesting dynamic having two former NFL players and their sons on the field. Luke Tasker, son of Steve, the former great Buffalo Bill. Duron Carter, the son of Chris, the former great Viking and Eagle. Injury near the midfield stripe.
This is the Montreal free safety, Marco Briette. Kind of got caught with his head down as he came up to get involved in that tackle on Luke Tasker. An immediate concern, Briette on the right side of your screen, number 10, steps up and watches they go helmet to helmet. And that his head gets jolted to the side.
Violent collision there. Marc-Olivier Briette, who has had injury issues in the past. They'll attend to him and we'll come back to Hamilton. CFL playoffs on TSN, brought to you by Nissan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. 3:37 to go in this first quarter, and both teams on their knees surrounding Marc-Olivier Briette. Obviously very concerned with his health after that helmet collision with Luke Tasker.
You'll see again Briette, first man in to make that tackle. Saw him go limp after that helmet-to-helmet contact. Immediate reaction from the Montreal sideline.
Here is the best news of all after seeing something like that, and there are so many collisions in this sport that Marc-Olivier Briette is up. He's a guy who's had some devastating injuries in the past and has fought back through this. This is a former quarterback, by the way, before he came into the Canadian Football League, and such a good sign to see him up.
Big hand from the Hamilton faithful here. And so people understand Marco Briant, this is a guy, he doesn't need to be playing football. This is a guy with a law degree.
And he could be making a lot of money doing other things, and he wouldn't have to hit anybody. He is a lawyer.
Yeah, it is strictly about the love of the game.
And a tremendous player, by the way. Again, a guy who used to play for the Montreal Carabin. And how about the Carabin?
Oh, we got a little rivalry, whole rivalry week getting set up here with the Montreal and Hamilton. University of Montreal set to take on McMaster in next week's Vanier Cup.
Another Canadian free safety comes in. Mike Edom, former Calgary Dino. Collaros pump fake. Now has some room. Now it closes, goes over the top. It's Tasker again inside the 30-yard line.
This is where Zach Collaros becomes so dangerous. Gets off script, out of the pocket, and he's strictly a playmaker. Things break down in the pocket, little bit of pressure coming here. He's got to get on the move, eyes downfield, spots his boy, Luke Tasker, who had just escaped from Winston Venables. Finds an open window there to pick up a Tiger Cat first down.
Close to the score zone. Grigsby, left side, and he's knocked out of bounds by Gerald Brown. You know, back to Luke Tasker for a moment. A guy who grew up where the apple doesn't fall very far because his dad, of course, was a wide receiver and a gunner on the special teams, pro bowler for the Buffalo Bills, and a chance to text with him yesterday. He's broadcasting now for CBS today, the Atlanta-Cleveland game. And I said, you know, if you had to interview your son right now, would you have a question for him? And he said,
just wanted to know if Luke got the tickets for the family.
And he did.
And we're hoping the family, by the way, was able to make it from the Buffalo area, which was hit hard by snow this week.
Our thoughts with all the people in Buffalo. Collaros, end zone, and Jeff Tisdale, and obviously a broken route there, could have been picked.
Well, Tisdale, former Hamilton Tiger Cat, noted ball thief, 29 career interceptions for Tisdale. Would have loved to have added a playoff theft to his tally.
Further to Steve Tasker, you know, he's working that Atlanta-Cleveland game, but he says he's going to be keeping one eye on this game as well, as I'm sure Chris Carter is in the ESPN studios for his son, Duran.
Yeah, no doubt.
Justin Medlock from the 32-yard line has been almost perfect this season inside the 40. That's against a heavy breeze. So the Cats on the board. It is 7-3 Montreal. Next Sunday, winners of East and West in Vancouver. The 102nd Grey Cup extended pregame coverage. 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. The countdown to kickoff on TSN. Who will be there? 2 terrific matchups today. Everybody talked about the disparity between East and West early in the season. No one's talking about that right now. These two teams so close, and the Battle of Alberta equally close later on today.
Well, this is the thing within their divisions. If both of these matchups live up to the advanced billing, we should have a couple of magnificent ball games here today. Again, these teams essentially faced each other in a playoff game 2 weeks ago. The final week of the regular season for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It was do or die. They needed to win to make the playoffs. Winning by a certain margin allowed them to claim first place over the Montreal Alouettes. They split the regular season series. This is the rubber match.
In a stadium they have not lost in. Stadium they took a long time to get here. Basically a transient team the last 2 years. Played in Guelph last year, still made it to the Grey Cup game. Played in McMaster for most of this year. And then Labor Day opened this stadium and have not lost here. 6 straight wins at Tim Hortons Field. Absolutely jammed today, 24,000. 4-point difference right now. 2 minutes to go, opening quarter. Marty Gilliard chased down by Rico Murray, steps out of bounds. The only touchdown so far, S.J. Green, who was working against Brandon Stewart. A lot of talk from S.J. about the guy who covers him.
I was asked the question, just to speak on myself. I won't speak on anybody else, but I was asked the question of who I would think would be covering me this week. And I answered the question. And I wasn't talking trash. I was simply stating facts that if he covers me, he has no chance. And I'll say it again, he doesn't. He can't cover me one-on-one. And he knows that.
Well, so far, S.J. Green has won round one. Long game. Crompton now is buried and sent backwards by Ted Laurent. And the first sack for the Tiger Cats. Former star in Ole Miss, Ted Laurent. Former Eskimo.
Well, once again, Montreal's had a ton of success getting Marty Gilliard out of the backfield into the flats early in this ballgame. They're trying to do the same thing again here because Hamilton hasn't been able to cover it up. This time, Hamilton manages to track it as Gilliard goes from that backfield. He's going to release. This time, though, Courtney Stephen is going to track him across the formation. He takes him away. Now that outlet is gone. Allows the D-line to get there and make a play.
Crompton on the run, throws to Eric Deslauriers. It's a fumble football on the ground. Ryan Bombin was able to get it back. Eric Deslauriers made the catch, fumbled the football. It looked like, I think they're calling it down at the 36-yard line. Regardless, did not get a first down, so the Alouettes will be kicking it away.
Eric Deslauriers, the former Eastern Michigan star, he's the inside receiver. This three-man set to the field. Got the other two running that clear out for him as he's the underneath guy. Rico Murray in with a stick to pop that ball loose. Murray had 3 forced fumbles during the regular season.
The ruling on the field was the ball carrier was down with contact at the 37-yard line. It will be third down.
So Sean White with the wind blowing from south to north here.
Tiger Cats continuing to go with 2 punt returners, as we've seen on windy days here in Hamilton.
Brandon Banks going nowhere this time. Winston Venable, son of a former Montreal Expo, Max Venable, makes the tackle downfield. 55-yard kick, a 10-yard return. 7 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
We see most teams in the Canadian Football League on their punt return unit will put 11 men up on the line of scrimmage and just 1 return man. In these windy conditions, the last couple games we've seen here in Hamilton, the Tiger Cats have gone with 2 deep. Again, presents an interesting option for them, having both Sinkfield and Banks back to return.
The wind was howling earlier today. Looks like it's subsiding a bit, but it could be a factor late in the game. The Cats won the coin toss, by the way. They defer to the second half as Grigsby finds some room and is brought down by free safety Mike Edom. Big gain for Nick Grigsby on the final play of the opening quarter. A 24-yard romp. Tiger Cats get a field goal from Justin Medlock. Alouettes touchdown from JC Jonathan Crompton to SJ Green. 7-3 in the Eastern Final in Hamilton. Hamilton, Steeltown. 7-3 Alouettes after 15 minutes here in the Eastern Final, and we can talk about all the numbers and crunch the numbers before and during this game, but it still comes down to emotion, and sometimes in a playoff game like this it comes down to running the football.
Yeah, it certainly does, and there was feeling coming into this game, obviously, that it was something the Montreal Alouettes were going to need to do well because they didn't do it well here a couple weeks ago. Well, now you have used play action off of that run game to create some offense in the early going. For the Hamilton Tiger Cats, they got one of their best games out of a running back in terms of the ground game this season in that season finale against Montreal. Grigsby had 93 yards in that ball game. Well, he's off to a terrific start here. He's got 6 carries, 46 yards already in this ball game, including 24 on the last play of the first quarter.
Two very stout defenses in this Eastern final. Don't break very often. Reverse to Banks. Brandon Banks. Already some electricity from Speedy B. A return that was brought back by penalty, and you can see why Ken Austin and the Tiger Cats love this former Washington Redskin.
Yeah, and we've seen Brandon Banks become an increasingly important part of this offense as the season has gone on. And of this team as a whole, Banks has kick return touchdown. He has a punt return touchdown. He's had touchdowns as a receiver. He's also carried the ball 15 times in the regular season and threw 3 passes. The offense in many ways runs through Brandon Banks.
Quick hitter to Terrell Sinkfield. Makes one move. Now another. Sinkfield down near the 20-yard line. Little zig, a little zag. Another first down.
Sinkfield, an important addition to this Hamilton team over the course of the season, and it's in compliment to Brandon Banks. One of the big knocks on this Hamilton receiving corps going back a year was a lack of speed, lack of a burner. And as this year has gone on, they've addressed that. Obviously, getting Brandon Banks and his speed more involved in their offensive scheme. They picked up Terrell Sinkfield from Toronto at midseason and have gotten it involved, gives them much more speed in that receiving corps to complement Tasker and Fantuz and Grant.
Collaros called his own number, and Zach Collaros fumbled the football. And the Alouettes say they have it. Now the question is, was Zach Collaros down? Clearly he dropped the football, but he may have been down. The ruling on the field is Montreal football. Andre Proulx signaling Montreal football. So this is going to be reviewed anyways as a turnover, and it looked like he was down.
Well, it's going to be close. We have to watch the right knee as we lost it.
It's no.
See, it's poked out. This is a tremendous play. I believe it was Venable that came in and poked it. It may have been just before that right knee touches down.
Oh, almost bang,
it
bang.
doesn't get a whole lot closer than that.
Play is under review by the command center.
All turnovers are reviewed by the command center. That is so close, Dwayne. Almost simultaneously, his knee hit the ground as the ball was popped out.
So close again. Watch the right knee. There's the hit. Knee is down. It honestly looks to me like the ball is out a split second before, but that I'm saying that partly instinctively. There's the hit.
Yeah, I think it is. The
by
ball
a
is
split
out.
second. He's lost the grip on the ball.
So that looks like, if you go by that replay and maybe even this one, that looks like a clean turnover.
And I'll come right out and say I believe that the ball's out a split second before his knee is down, but it wouldn't surprise me a bit if they rule it inconclusive because it's that close.
This is a Hamilton team, by the way, that fumbled the football more than any other team in the CFL this season.
Upon review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The ball carrier fumbled the ball prior to being down. It will be first down Montreal.
They don't like it here, but it's the right call.
Well, that's why they have video review. Take a look. Fumble football. Back at Tim Hortons Field in the Hammer. Black and gold all over this stadium. The Tiger Cats have not been beaten yet. 6 straight wins. They trail 7-3 in the Eastern Final. But a turnover. Chris Rainey into the ball game. They will give the rock to Rutley or Rainey, Chris Rainey. A little bit of a different runner than Brandon Rutley, but again, two of these guys who at the beginning of the season, Montreal Alouette fans probably didn't think they'd see right now.
No, the Alouettes, a few games into the season, adopted a system where they were using two American running backs, rotating them occasionally on the field together, but getting touches for Brandon Whitaker and Terrell Sutton. Well, now, due to injury, it's become Rutley and Rainey in the biggest game of the year.
Rutley back in, Crompton fires, picked, far side.
Delvin Breaux with the interception. Turned right back. A guy who's made a name for himself is arguably the best corner in the Canadian Football League, Delvin Breaux. The guy denied an opportunity to play college football because of a serious neck injury suffered in high school. He's made a name for himself here and comes up with a huge play, stepping in front of that one intended for S.J. Green.
And right to the red zone go the Tiger Cats. Concern for them in the score zone inside the 20. They also were last in the CFL. They just couldn't find ways to get touchdowns within that score zone. That seemed to be a problem all season long. The record could have been considerably better.
Right here as they find themselves in second and long, keep an eye on Luke Tasker. One of the best in the Canadian Football League in terms of second down conversions. And they'll have the other option here as well in Andy Fantus, who's been out of the lineup in recent weeks, but has been a go-to guy throughout his career in these situations as well.
Here comes the rush again. Collaros now decides to go down to the 10, tackled from behind and fumbled again. Kyrus Hebert laid a lick on Zach Collaros, who is slow to get up. And there's a penalty flag at the 12-yard line. Collaros gets adjusted by Samuel Giguère.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Montreal number 34. Half the distance for goal. First down.
So that hit deemed unnecessary.
Well, it's a nice pickup here. Nick Grigsby tracking across the formation to pick up the linebacker Venable off the edge. That allows Collaros to step up and escape. Now watch the pursuit of Hebert. You know, I think that the officials are seeing this as a blow to the head. I think this is a clean tackle. His right arm came across the shoulder pad, not across the helmet. Struck the shoulder pad first.
It is first and goal. Collaros to Grigsby. Will he score? Yes, he will. Touchdown. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats surge in front.
Gotta love the cut here from Nick Grigsby. Watch as he hits this up into the line of scrimmage and then sees a gap, breaks it almost 90 degrees out to the right to find some open space and the end zone.
Point after from Justin Medlock. The great Grigsby strikes again. Drive orchestrated by Zach Collaros. Hamilton leads 10-7.
Big games like this is why you play the sport. You want the ball in your hands at all times, and you kind of relish the opportunity to go out there and play for a championship.
So far, this stadium has been magic, and so far, Nick Grigsby's been magic for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. In this game, 8 carries, 53 yards, and a touchdown, and of course, the pick by Delvin Breaux led to that. 3-point Hamilton lead. Ball bounces through the end zone. Not sure if Dominique Ellis touched that. If he touched it, it's 1 point. If he did not, no points.
Went through goal without being touched. There's no score in the play. First down on the 25-yard line.
So it remains 10-7.
Well, Nick Grigsby gets credit for the great cut, but give the big boys up front credit. Here, Napton's going to go to the inside. You're going to see the tight end Landon Rice. He's releasing, and a great block down by the tackle. Right tackle, Joel Figueroa, to pin Napton to the inside. Grigsby sees that down block, allows him to bounce outside.
And then right through the Montreal bench.
Yeah, tougher road back to the bench than it was to the end zone on that one.
Here comes the heat. Crompton, slap pattern for Delorier. Eric Delorier up near the 31-yard line. Looks like a gain of 6. Towering Montreal receiver out of Gatineau, played his college ball at Eastern Michigan.
Eric Delorier among the NCAA's most prolific receivers as a senior at Eastern Michigan. 2006. First round pick of these Montreal Alouettes.
2nd down and 4. First down for Rutley. Brandon Stewart, the initial contact to bring down Brandon Rutley.
Well, Montreal's offensive line has long been its strength. Brandon Rutley gets in behind the big boys there. The right side, Ryan Bombin and Jeff Parrott.
Well, Tanner Marsh is in now on first down. Usually we see Marsh come in on short yardage situations.
You want to be aware of any sort of quarterback draw, quarterback run type play when Marsh enters the ballgame.
6 receivers, he sends them out. He's going to throw. Slant pattern for Brandon London. Rico Murray wrapped him up. So perhaps just a different look for the Alouettes this time, getting Crompton on the sideline.
Yeah, call it a key breaker. Right, creates an opportunity later in the game. You don't always want to run the same thing. Teams are keying on, they think they know what's coming when Tanner Marsh comes in the ball game. Defenses and analysts think they know what's coming when Marsh is in the ball game.
Exactly. Well, here's Brandon London. Crompton's looked his way a couple times today. Will he look to Ron Carter's way as well? Crompton looks, fires, and the catch is made by Marty Gilliard. 4 to 5 years ago, Marty Gilliard was catching passes from Zach Collaros at Cincinnati.
They find themselves on very different sides of this battle and both playing significant roles early here. Quick hitter from Jonathan Crompton. We've seen safety blitz on a couple of plays now from Craig Butler. But here's the matchup we're watching. Watch Breaux and Carter on the outside. Duron Carter talked to us yesterday, and he said he looks forward to the challenge of facing Breaux. These are 2 guys who like to get to the NFL next year.
Oh, the reverse. Carter's in trouble. And he is sandwiched. And so far, that has been the limit we've seen from Duron Carter. 1 punt return where he went nowhere. And that time on the reverse, that was spied perfectly.
Yeah, trying to find different ways to get the ball into the hands of your biggest playmakers. But you get the sense that the Hamilton defense knows where number 89 is lined up at all times.
Number 89, though, is a game changer. Not seen the last of him. Crompton down the sideline. Breaux pushed him out of bounds. As that ball was overshot. Ron Carter wanted a penalty flag. There's one that just flew now. And it's likely objectionable conduct.
Well, Jonathan Crompton was looking on the outside for Duron Carter. But I suspect that S.J. Green will be in his ear when they get back to the sideline here, and you'll see why in a moment.
After the play, objectionable conduct, Montreal number 89, 10-yard penalty, third down.
A lot of trash talking, a lot of chirping going on, but watch the play.
Well, the matchup on the outside is where what Duron Carter's complaining about, but on the inside, you're going to see again, it's S.J. Green working against Brandon Stewart, a battle that Green thinks he can win, and this time again, stems outside. Stewart bites outside, and S.J. Green's open in the middle of the field.
Duron Carter thought that he was interfered with on the sideline. There's a challenge flag from Tom Higgins. And they may have a point here. He was basically thrown out of bounds by Delvin Breaux on that near sideline. So they are going to challenge it. For those viewers in the United States, defensive pass interference is reviewable in the CFL this season for the very first time.
You saw in the previous play that this is going to be physical.
Montreal is challenging the ruling on the field. They believed there was defensive pass interference on the play. The play will be reviewed.
I mean, Duron Carter talked about it. We saw it on the previous play. The physical battle going on between Breaux and Carter on the outside. Duron Carter talked about it. He said, we see on film all the time, Delvin Breaux will just jam receivers out of bounds. He's tough, he's strong, he's physical, he's technically sound. Here he gets a hand on Carter and he just rides him. And then, as much as anything, it looks like Duron Carter loses his balance as Delvin Breaux is just riding him on that jam.
It looked as well that Carter initially put his straight arm out in the first place. So they're going to look at this at command. 55 times this season, defensive pass interference was challenged, 17 overturns. Successful challenges. Let's take another look. Now, we are not seeing a lot of angles at that, and keep in mind, command, unless they have a couple more angles, may not see much more. It has to be conclusive.
Into consideration, was the ball catchable? Was Duron Carter going to get to that football?
Tom Higgins spent 6 years in the Canadian Football League head office as the director of officiating. And it was Duron Carter a year ago in the Eastern Division semifinal that precipitated this rule in many ways.
Yeah, key play at the end of the game where pass interference was not called. In hindsight, obviously, as people had the opportunity to see the replay, most felt that it should have been a potential, I mean, in that case, a game-changing play. Pass interference viewed as a game-changing play. Here you'll see it right on the very right edge of your screen is the matchup between Breaux and Carter.
Let's go down to Matthew Shinetti.
Yeah, guys, I'm just standing right by the officials table here, and I heard Andre Preux ask the linesman if the ball was uncatchable, and I heard the linesman say the ball was totally uncatchable.
And the ruling is going to come from the command center. So
that, Matthew, echoes the same sentiment we had up here, an overthrown ball that regardless of what went on between Breaux and Carter, Duron Carter likely wasn't going to get to that football.
There is some talk in CFL circles that the DPI challenge rule could be ditched in the future. What do you think about it so far? And I've asked you this before, and I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot. Here's the call.
Upon review, there was pass interference. Hamilton, number 27. The foul occurred at the 35-yard line. We also had objectionable conduct, Montreal, number 89. The ball will be brought back to the 45-yard line. Automatic first down for Montreal.
So I'm going to let you off the hook. You can give your answer in a bit. But obviously, regardless of whether it was overthrown or not, perhaps they're thinking because of that initial contact, Carter could have caught up with the ball. I guess that must be the thinking.
Yeah, well, you'd have to ask the replay review officials, because I still think it was uncatchable. And you know, again, right. so did the linesman.
All right, give your thoughts on DPI moving forward.
I was very strongly against it at the start of the year. I don't like anything that takes the officials' judgment out of the game of football. But there have definitely been times this year where it's proven to be valuable because it has corrected big calls.
Crompton over the top for S.J. Green. Guy who makes ridiculous catches game in and game out. Second catch of the game, 36 yards so far for S.J. Green, including a touchdown.
And you see the reaction there to the play action, the fake by Crompton to his running back, Brandon Rutley, which flows the defensive end, Justin Hickman. He was caught in no man's land as Crompton slipped to the outside to deliver that pass to Green.
1st and 10 from the 31. They'll keep it on the ground. Rutley protecting that football. You know, it was interesting when we chatted with SJ yesterday, and he's a very kind of focused guy. He's a somber guy. He talks about Jonathan Crompton and the relationship he has with him, and how Crompton, who's this kind of loosey-goosey quarterback in the huddle, tries to get S.J. Green to smile.
Yeah, and they fed off of each other, because S.J., as soon as you mention Crompton's name or talk about his personality, you see the very serious S.J. Green break into a little bit of a grin that he has really enjoyed playing with Crompton this season.
Guy who used to catch a lot of footballs from Anthony Calvillo. 5.5 left before halftime. Deep drop, far sideline, caught by Gilliard, and another penalty flag and a huge hit. There's also a penalty flag at the 40-yard line, where Crompton was throwing that football. Gilliard got it to first down territory.
Automatic first down.
The penalty is against Hamilton. Little too close to Jonathan Crompton.
Yeah, watch for Eric Norwood, who's going to come around the edge. He's going to deliver a hit on Crompton after he throws this football. You know, those old SEC grudges die hard. South Carolina product, Norwood against the former Tennessee Vols quarterback, Jonathan Crompton.
Alouettes now in the score zone. 1st and goal inside the 10. Gilliard in motion. Play action. End zone. Touchdown, S.J. Green. And so far, he is living up to his promise.
I played many years of my career under head coach Wally Bono in Calgary, and he always said he's fine with trash talk as long as you back it up. S.J. Green, so far in this ball game, he talked the talk. He is now walking the walk. 2 for 2 in close with the touchdown strikes from Jonathan Crompton. Doing a terrific job, though, Crompton, Rutley, the offensive line, selling that play action to set up their pass protection.
Back and forth they go here. The battle in the Eastern Final. 2 S.J. Green touchdowns over Brandon Stewart. Alouettes lead 14-10 in Hamilton. Former South Florida Bull has done it again. S.J. Green from Jonathan Crompton.
Well, and I've showed you twice where there's been the setup, step to the outside and a move to the inside by S.J. Green. Well, this time he steps to the outside. He continues to the outside as he's got Brandon Stewart sitting, waiting on that inside move. He's worked him very well to set up the defender by what he's done previously to create an opportunity to get open for that touchdown.
4.5 to go. Terrell Sinkfield muffs that kick. Now picks it back up. And on the sidelines, prances up near the 25-yard line. So Zach Collaros has gone from Bearcat to Argo to Tiger Cat. A short period of time, native of Steubenville, Ohio, who high school star in college with the Cincinnati Bearcats. Was a big get for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the offseason.
Well, he certainly was. They took a bit of a gamble, electing not to sign the veteran, re-sign the veteran Henry Burris, and move on to a youngster with a handful of starts.
Oh, what a catch. Sinkfield lays out as Collaros felt the heat once again. Right now the Alouettes are loading up that box and bringing everything.
Well, Hamilton throughout this season has been very much a pass-first team. They had 2 games where an individual rushed for over 100 yards, both by quarterback Dan Lefevre prior to his injury. They've not had a 100-yard rushing game by a running back this season. The 93 by Grigsby against Montreal was the highest.
Another quick hitter to Sinkfield, and he has a first down.
Great second effort.
Oh, what a straight arm. He looked like the Heisman Trophy there for a moment. Big straight arm from Terrell Sinkfield.
Just a quick hitter here, and he's just going to battle Mitchell White, man, just to fight him off there.
Oh, and a fumbled football on that far sideline. That's what the officials are talking.
Ball stripped, but is the
Rolling
ball...
on the field is we had a catch followed by a ball fumbled forward, fumbled out of bounds.
Well, it was punched out by Montreal.
But it then has to be touched again after the strip. After the punch out, it would have to be touched again by Montreal for them to gain possession. The strip itself is not considered the last touch. It's considered the cause of the fumble.
Now, was it touched one more time? No.
This should remain Hamilton Tiger Cat football.
Clock ticking down to the 3-minute warning before halftime. Collaros looking, floats it out to the far side for Tasker. And Luke Tasker has another first down.
Well, in case you wondered what Zach Collaros was waiting for before he got rid of that football, he had Brandon Banks matched up deep against Gerald Brown, but Brown was right with Speedy B, so he had to check it down.
Zach Collaros, Luke Tasker connect again. A 3-minute warning here in Hamilton.
Hey there, I'm Zubin Mehenti. Coming up on the CFL Halftime Report. One of the greatest moments in college football history happened 30 years ago today, and it involved a CFL legend. Who is it? We'll tell you at the half. Rod, Dwayne, back to you.
Playbook as well. Back to Rod and Dwayne.
All right, thank you, Rod. Looking forward to that one later today. This has been a tug-of-war so far. Lots of offense, too, as Moses Madu gets his first touch. Madu has been in and out of the lineup with injury.
Well, we talked about the Alouettes' injury issues at running back throughout the season, how they've had to work their way through the depth chart. Moses Madu took over as the starting running back when C.J. Gable got injured early in the season. Madu, when he ran into his own injury issues, that led to Nick Grigsby being brought in, and Grigsby has produced and essentially has sort of taken over that starting role, but Madu makes his way back into the lineup this week.
36.
And he'll spell Grigsby from time to time in this offensive set.
Grigsby back in. 2nd and 9, likely for blocking help here. He's the outlet now, and whipping it in for Tasker. He's been the main man. As Bear Woods breaks him down, they'll move the sticks once again down near the Montreal 40.
Well, Luke Tasker finds himself in the unique situation here with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Although he's gone from playing American to Canadian football, essentially playing in the same offensive scheme as his head coach for his last couple years at college was Kent Austin, and he had offensive coordinator Tommy Condell at Cornell as well. So as they've adjusted some of the same concepts to the Canadian field, Tasker has excelled.
Clears it out again, and bobbling it is Brandon Banks. Little hot potato. Talked about Tommy Condell, who's the offensive coordinator here, worked with Kent Austin at Cornell, and of course worked with Luke Tasker in that offense.
Yeah, and a long history, of course, between Condell and Austin. They've worked together in Ottawa, worked together in Saskatchewan, at Cornell, and now with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Luke Tasker had an outstanding college career. The Cornell Big Red, NFL shot last season with the San Diego Chargers before joining the Hamilton Tiger Cats at mid-season. Has been on basically a 1,000-yard pace through his year and a half in the CFL.
Polaris pump fake again, swinging it out. Madu now has running room, and a convoy, and down near the 20. Moses Madu to the red zone.
This is how you run the screen. Zach Collaros doing a nice job buying himself time as Madu is going to set up to block, and then he's going to release to the front side. Collaros has to dance a little bit to buy time for Madu to get there. He gets the big boys out front. Joel Figueroa is out there. Brian Simmons is on his horse. They're just looking for white jerseys.
Surprisingly, a lot of offense in this game. We came in thinking it would be some defensive domination. But both offenses clicking here. Brandon Banks on the far sideline. Their last meeting, the defense is one out.
Yeah, the chess match is on now. You saw Tommy Condell a moment ago. And here is his chess opponent, if you will, defensive coordinator Noel Thorpe, who's done an outstanding job with the Alouettes D these last couple seasons, coming over from the now Vanier Cup-bound Montreal Caravan program.
2nd down and 4. Sniffing the end zone. Pump fake. End zone. And unable to lay up for it again is Brandon Banks. As Zach Collaros couldn't deliver the ball into his mitts. So Justin Medlock returns to kick a field goal.
And he's looking for Brandon Banks. He's matched up out on the corner with Jeff Tisdale. Tight window there between Tisdale and then the help coming late from the free safety, Mike Edom. Edom into the ball game, replacing the injured Marc-Olivier Brouillette.
Justin Medlock, money inside the 40, only one miss inside the 40 all season. He's made one today. Tasker the hold. Kick is up and through. 1:20 to go. 1 point Eastern final. Your HBO subscription just got better with every season and every episode of your favorite HBO series now available on demand. Shows such as Boardwalk Empire, True Blood, The Newsroom, Dwayne Fort's favorite, True Detective, and Game of Thrones. Subscribe to HBO Canada now and never miss an episode. Well, two strikingly similar teams in their path here. Almost identical looking in the mirror. Two young quarterbacks who took over from future Hall of Famers in their respective cities. Running backs who came in because of injuries. And two great defenses. Quite a matchup. Let's go down to Matthew Shinetti.
Guys, just to expand on a point in terms of the Ticats defense, one thing Orlando Steinauer has told me all season is he'll know if his defense is really up to their full potential if there's a lot of non-verbal contact. It comes down to gestures or checking their keys that way. Every time the Ticats have come to the sidelines, and particularly during those touchdown drives the Owls have had, the one message from Steinauer, guys, you got to communicate. You got to keep communicating. We can't keep giving simple stuff away. And as you can expect, every time Brandon Stewart's come to the sidelines, he said, man, I'm not happy with myself, guys.
Crompton, quick hitter to S.J. Green in front of Brandon Stewart on cue again.
Well, and as you talk about that communication, Matthew, with the Hamilton Tiger Cat defense, I'm sure one of the things that Orlando Steinauer is really pressing his team on is being aware of how they're going to handle Marty Gilliard when he's using that cross motion across the formation and releasing from the backfield. We've seen them have trouble with getting their switches and communicating as to who is going to pick up Gilliard as he runs through different zones.
Looking for SJ, that time Brandon Stewart wins the battle. What an interesting one-on-one this is today watching those two.
I'll tell you, as much as S.J. Green is winning this battle today so far with a couple of touchdowns, and he feels confident in the matchup, Brandon Stewart, this is a good veteran defensive back, absolutely no slouch. A guy who's been real important to the Tiger Cats' success this season coming over from Winnipeg. He's played most of his career as a corner on the wide side of the field. He's made the adjustment to that boundary halfback spot this year. It'll be a great matchup to watch.
2nd and 10, and Gilliard can't hang on. You talked about Marty Gilliard and how suddenly he's become a weapon in this Montreal offense. He only had 2 catches for 16 yards in spare time in the season. He's already doubled his production in this game alone.
Yeah, he got hurt very early in his tenure as a Montreal Alouette, spent most of the season on the injured list. But really what's opened up an opportunity for him was the concussion suffered by James Rogers here in Hamilton in the regular season finale. So it opens up an opportunity for a return guy and kind of what I would call a niche player offensively, a guy around whom you can build a little bit of an offensive package and creating different ways to get the ball to a speed guy in space.
Sean White close to having that block. This is against the wind. Speaking of return guys, Speedy B finds a seam. Brandon Banks has some room. Look out! Banks near the 50 to the 40. Brandon Banks down near the 20. He's gonna score! Touchdown! Oh my goodness! Unbelievable return from Brandon Banks! Mr. Electricity! Speedy B strikes again.
Now, you know, I think they already did a vote on the play of the year in the CFL, but we have a late entry.
Get it in quick. There's a candidate. What a ridiculous run from Brandon Banks. And I think Jeff Reinbold ran all the way with him.
He's more out of breath than Banks is.
What a spectacular romp. Banks, who had one taken back because of penalty in this game, puts the Tiger Cats in front.
It was Brandon Banks who delivered the dagger to the Montreal Alouettes in the regular season finale with a big touchdown catch, and he continues to be a thorn in their sides here in the Eastern Final. Monster punt return here. They had the wall set up perfectly to initiate it, and then it was a matter of Banks making some people miss. But great execution. You've got a speed guy back there. Set up the wall and let him outrun them to the wide side of the field.
You ever try to catch a ghost? That's what it feels like. 93 yards to Pater.
Jeff Reinbold loves it.
Back and forth we go. Zach Collaros gets some help from a special player. Brandon Banks' story, his journey to get here, incredible. What a journey to get to the end zone there as Gilliard tries to answer. This is a guy who transferred schools, Bakersfield College to Kansas State, went to Washington, played with the Redskins. Punt return touchdown in his first preseason game, ran into injury problems. They called him crazy legs. Look at the yards that he piled up this season. This was also a young man who was stabbed a few years ago, had a punctured lung, and was lucky to be alive.
Yeah, let alone lucky to be playing football. Been through so much in his journey to be here. Ken Austin absolutely raves about what a great young man he has become and what an important part of this Hamilton Tiger Cat football club he has emerged as.
And when you go down on the field and you're around a lot of these hulks, you go near Brandon Banks without his equipment on, you think he's one of the ball boys. Smallest guy on the field, the quickest.
Little guy having a huge impact here today.
Could be the final play here of what has been an exciting first half of football. Brandon Rutley bursting outside, and after 2 quarters, Dwayne Ford anybody's ball game here.
All we wanted was for this game to live up to the advanced billing. And so far it has. Tremendous matchup.
2014. The Hamilton Tiger Cats lead the way at Tim Hortons Field. Last time these teams met in an Eastern Final, 1999. Hamilton won by a point. We might be heading down that road again. 20-14 Cats. S.J. Green has both touchdowns for the Owls. He's with Matthew Shinetti.
The Ticats coverage. Talk about the Ticats coverage. How do you think the first half went?
I think we made a couple plays, not enough. We got 14 points, we're down 6, so made enough plays to get in the position where we are now, but not enough to be in the league.
What has to be the key then in the second half for you guys offensively?
Pure execution. We got to be able to run the ball up front, establish the ground game, and continue to move the ball on second down and make first downs.
Thanks, SJ.
I'm sure Tom Higgins would echo that.
Well, certainly need a little more S.J. Green in the second half of this football game. He's been outstanding so far for the Alouettes. He and Marty Gilliard supplying the majority of their offense in the passing game.
Love listening to the guys on the panel talking about the bad blood between these two teams. That's palpable, the hatred that exists, especially it is intensified in a game like this on this stage. Remember, the Hamilton Tiger Cats may have won the most significant play of this game. We'll find out later. Is that the coin toss? They have chosen to defer, and they will have the wind in the fourth quarter. But look at the flags here on this field. The wind is starting to subside, actually. Right now, the Cats have the lead heading into the second half of the Eastern Final. Line drive to Dominic Ellis. Barrels over the 35-yard line. Jonathan Crompton brings his offense out on the field, and Crompton had a very good first half. 12 of 19, 147, 2 touchdowns, but that one pick.
Yeah, that interception looms large as it set up Tiger Cat touchdown, but you see Brandon Rutley held to 27 yards on the ground, but the play action passing game set up by the fact that the Tiger Cats are focusing on stopping that run has opened up S.J. Green and Marty Gilliard, Green in particular, with those 2 touchdown catches.
Marty Gilliard will sweep to the far side. Gets bashed over there by Courtney Stephen. About a yard shy of the first down, maybe a yard and a half.
This is a nice adjustment. You always wonder when you have 2 teams that are on a likely playoff collision course when they meet late in the season, what kinds of things they're hiding when they have that last regular season meeting. You got to believe that the addition of Marty Gilliard in this package to their offense has been something that's come up since that last meeting.
Second and short yardage. Barging over that first down marker. Here's another little factor for the Montreal Alouettes. The donut beside Duron Carter.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Duron Carter came into this game based on the regular season, ranked 3rd in the Canadian Football League in terms of receiving yards per game. In what was a quiet year for receivers, he was one of only 3 guys to break 1,000 yards this season. He's one of the elite game breakers in the Canadian Football League. Has been kept silent.
Likely not for long, though. Crompton over the middle. And like that, Duron Carter has his first catch. Keep in mind, though, with a penalty flag that flies late, that Duron Carter was also involved in one of the most controversial plays of the first half, but also a big play that led to a touchdown in that defensive pass interference call.
much of the conversation. Press row up here. The 7th floor of Tim Hortons Field has been about that pass interference call.
Prior to yards being gained, illegal block, blocking below the waist, Montreal number 3, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
That will bring that catch and run back. Crompton on the sideline again with third-string quarterback Alex Brink, who's charting plays. Tanner Marsh back in. 1st and 20 from the 40. Winner goes on to Vancouver next week to play in Grey Cup 102. Botch snap! Marsh in trouble and throws it to Duron Carter. Good thing he was there. That could have been intentional grounding. Good thing he was able to pick up the football.
Yeah, good reaction here from Tanner Marsh to scoop up this football. They have some trouble with the motion, as you see Gilliard timing a little bit off on that motion. Cross motion creates this distraction for the quarterback Marsh. Jonathan Crompton sees things come apart, but Tanner Marsh able to avoid a bigger loss by basically chucking it at the feet of Duron Carter to A, avoid the sack, B, avoid the grounding call, as you mentioned.
Long-haired, native of Asheville, North Carolina. Jonathan Crompton back in. Play action. Here comes the rush. Goes in deep, looking downfield again for S.J. Green, and Sean White will return to the field. The punt team comes out.
Well, this is a couple times we've seen as they've tried to stretch the field, both in this exact same area of the field. Jonathan Crompton attempting to go deep, but hasn't been able to fully extend and step into his throws because of that collapsing pocket. The pressure provided by the Hamilton defensive line has forced those underthrows, taking away the big play potential of the Alouette receivers.
White near his 30 will launch this. 2 men back again. Brandon Banks gets a nice block. And a penalty flag. Looked like a clip, a block from behind that will take that ball further back. Likely this time, Hamilton Tiger Cats guilty a special teams penalty. Have to find a way to contain this guy as Kyrus Hebert gets into it with Brandon Banks. Basically ran into his belly button.
Well, both guys look like they walked away with smiles on their faces from that exchange.
Lots of jawing going on.
Return, illegal block. Hamilton number 45, 10-yard penalty, first down.
So a long field this time. Brandon Banks, really the difference in the ball game. This burst for 93 yards and a touchdown. Tom Higgins, mastermind of this turnaround for the Alouettes this season. Actually, these two teams, both of them, started the year 2-13 combined, and they finished off 16-5, and that's why they meet head-on. Tiger Cats lead 20-14 in the Eastern Final. Long field here, 100 yards to the opposition end zone. Brandon Banks into it with Gerald Brown. Brandon Banks does not back down. This is a guy who has played with and been buddies with RG3 in Washington, good friend of John Wall of the Washington Wizards. Been there and done that. His muscles may not be big, but they're effective. Sun peering out here. 1st and 10. Hand off to Grigsby. And dropped beautifully by Gerald Brown in the backfield. Read perfectly.
Brown looming large on that series, but how about the first half? Where Brandon Banks had one punt return touchdown called back.
Not this one.
Tells him. Told him you'll get another chance. And sure enough, Beggs was ready when the opportunity came again. No flags on this one. No one was going to stop him the second time. As he gave the Tiger Cats the lead just before the half.
Second down, looked like Montreal jumped. Offside, free play for Collaros. Throws it to Tasker. First down. Bear Woods, Jeff Tisdale, the tackles. Now, were the Alouettes drawn, or did they jump? Looked like it was offside.
Offside. Montreal number 7. Penalties decline. First down.
John Bowman, defensive end with the early movement there. Collaros, with what essentially would have been a free play anyway, steps up and hits Tasker. First down leads to the Ticats declining. Moving on.
Quick hitter, far side, can't find Samuel Giguère. First time he looked to the former Sherbrooke star. Watched on that corner by Mitchell White.
And Giguère bumping back to the outside. Wide receiver spot this week. He had been moved inside to fill in for the injured Andy Fantuz in recent weeks.
There's another name that we have not called today, Andy Fantuz, his first game in a month for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
This is where it was so critical for the Hamilton Tiger Cats to get that bye and finish in first place. They're the only team in the league that didn't have a bye in the second half of their season. They had 2 byes in the first half as the stadium was being completed.
Collaros over the top. Bakari Grant's first reception. Grant coming off a 600-yard plus season. 3 touchdowns, 58 grabs, and one of their clutch go-to guys.
It was a year of transition in so many ways for the Tiger Cats offensively. A lot of the focus on the quarterback spot, of course, but where so much of the offense in the past had been about the big receivers. Last year, Andy Fantuz, Bakari Grant, Greg Ellingson, all 6'3" and up. This year it changed as they send their punt team onto the field.
3rd and a long yard. They decide not to go for it. Keep in mind, the Cats were the most successful team on 3rd down conversions. 3rd and short this season, but deciding to go for field position here. And again, will boot into the wind. Spiraling kick. Gilliard slips. 3-on-3. Mark Beswick nails Gilliard. 2014, the Eastern Final. Crompton in his 2nd CFL playoff game. This is where he's come from, a high school quarterback, ranked number 3 in the United States, a San Diego Chargers 5th round pick. Of course, spent time at Tennessee where he was the Vols quarterback. Edmonton last year, 3rd string quarterback, and this year 9-2. 9-2 as a starter. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely remarkable, Jonathan Crompton. The settling influence, a guy who's brought a sense of calm into that Montreal huddle.
Tucks that mullet under that helmet. It's not for style for Jonathan Crompton. Donating his hair at the end of the season to Locks for Love to help kids in cancer treatment. Likeable young man who's become a terrific leader for the Alouettes. Play action again. Against the grain, it's picked. Eric Harris has it. Still on his feet. Harris rumbling now. There's a penalty flag down. Eric Harris down inside the 10-yard line. Crompton makes the tackle. Loses his helmet. There is a penalty flag back near the 45-yard line. And this entire play depends on that flag.
Well, I think the flag came after the interception. A little battle behind the play.
Foul. Unnecessary roughness. Montreal number 89. 15-yard half the distance from where the ball become dead. And a first down for Hamilton.
Well, Deron Carter on the wrong end of that penalty.
And Carter lines up He's the outside receiver. He's going to be working his way across the middle. Crompton gets locked in on him a little bit here.
Play is under review by the command center.
That's the automatic review going on because of a turnover. But Eric Harris, the linebacker, just steps in front of this one. Crompton, again, locked in on the receiver. Didn't see Harris, the strong side linebacker, sliding over in front. Now, as for that flag, if you look right in the middle of your screen there is Deron Carter. And he's in a pretty good battle behind the play. He takes a big swing at Brandon Stewart, who was blocking him. So that was what earned the additional flag at the end.
So 2 critical interceptions thrown by Crompton in this ballgame. Montreal has already scored 7 points off of 1. And Harris stays on his feet after being knocked down, gets up, wasn't tagged.
Eric Harris, he's been a jack of all trades for this Hamilton team over the last couple years.
Crompton,
after review,
later got
the
rolled
Hamilton
over.
ball carrier was down with contact at the Montreal 53-yard line. And then we're going to apply a major foul, unnecessary roughness. Montreal number 89, a 15-yard penalty enforced from the 53-yard line, and a first down for Hamilton.
So very different call now. They're saying that Harris was down by contact. Still Hamilton football. Deeming him down. Deron Carter's got to maintain some composure in this ball game.
Let's see, as they ruled that Harris down by contact. I'm not convinced. Right? Any part of your body. It looked like his hand and wrist were touching, not an elbow or forearm.
Brandon Banks, the high hurdle. And into some Canadian beef on the sideline.
Well, Brandon Banks has been the spark plug, energizing this Hamilton Tiger Cat offense. A high hurdle there. Just another clip for the highlight reel for number 16.
Winston Venable being looked at. Despite the turnover, if the Alouettes can hold here, this can turn out a lot better than it was looking for a while. It would have been first and goal inside the 5-yard line. Marc-Olivier Briette is out of this ball game. Early in the ball game, a collision with Luke Tasker, so they're missing their starting free safety. Venable's now running across the field. Looks like he's okay.
With medical attention going out, he'll have to be out of the lineup for 3 plays. So it may limit the packages they can use a little bit, but they do have some depth with Abear and Cox playing those outside linebacker spots, but they won't be able to obviously get the extra cover linebacker on the field without Venable.
Double tight end package here for the Cats. Polaris with protection. Throws it sideline. And once again, Mr. Banks. You know, if Brandon Banks wasn't a football player, he'd be a heck of a mind.
Well, he's getting the crowd into it, that's for sure. Brandon Banks, he gets better and better every week and just becomes an increasingly important part of this Tiger Cat offense.
Goes out in motion with Tasker. Again, double tights. Grigsby in the pistol. Takes it. Flag down. A bear can't hang on. Mike Edom tackles him up high. Near the first down marker. Let's see what the flag is about here.
Offside. Montreal number 91. Penalties decline. First down Hamilton.
Alan Michael Cash. It's getting worse here for the Owls now. The ball is where it was before.
It's Cash on the inside who goes offside, but also keep an eye on Bakari Grant. He's coming across the formation to block Gerald Brown off the edge. Pretty good collision over there, but he rattles his head off Brown's thigh. Both guys were kind of slow to get up here. We'll keep an eye on Bakari Grant in that offensive formation.
Keep in mind, a very good Montreal defense in this area this season. Tough to break. Collaros stood up, brought down. When they tighten the screws inside that 5-yard line, the Alouettes are as good as any defense in this league.
They sure are a tough physical bunch. You see all the flow was going to the left side. The receivers all blocked there. The line pulled that way. And it's basically Zach Collaros going solo in the middle.
Late substitutions now jogging onto the field for the Owls. Have to line up quickly. Second and goal. Collaros again. Pistol formation with Grigsby. The hand to Grigsby. Touchdown, Grigsby. Another costly interception for the Alouettes.
Well, that's been the story of the season series between these two teams. Points off turnovers. The Tiger Cats had a lead on the Alouettes in the September game, and the Alouettes stormed back because of Hamilton turnovers. Here, 2 weeks ago, the Hamilton Tiger Cats capitalized on turnovers throughout, en route to a victory that catapulted them to first place in the East. And here today, the Hamilton Tiger Cats with 2 touchdowns resulting from interceptions.
Grigsby with his second score of the day. Cats lead 27-14. Reminder right after this one, Eskimo Stampeders Battle of Alberta Western Conference Final. Trip to the 102nd Grey Cup on the line. Coming up, Nick Grigsby has scored twice here. The Cats have scored twice off of Montreal interceptions. Have opened up a 27-14 lead here. Under 6 to go, third quarter. Bouncing back now is Dominic Ellis. Lost yardage on this return.
Jonathan Crompton, who's made his mark and enjoyed great success this season by avoiding what you would call those disaster plays, those turnovers that lead to points. Needs to get back to his winning ways here in the second half of this ball game, already with 14 Hamilton points resulting from turnovers. One of them a Delvin Breaux interception in the first half. Most recently an Eric Harris interception to set up the second Nick Grigsby touchdown.
First and 10 from the 29. There's the rush. Quick hitter, big lick. S.J. Green gets hammered but hangs on to the football. Eric Norwood flattened him.
And there you see the range of Norwood lining up as a defensive end here on the right side of your screen. He's going to drop out. Former college linebacker. Delivers a shot, but S.J. Green is as tough as they come.
Second and short yardage. No Tanner Marsh. Crompton stays in. Cluster formation, gives it up the middle. Brandon Rutley churning now and takes it over the midfield stripe into Hamilton territory.
Well, Brandon Rutley does a nice job of running through that first contact at the line of scrimmage. He's got just a little bit of a crease from his offensive line. The big boy's doing a nice job here, and you see the combination, both Rutley and Rainey together in that backfield. Good job right at the point of attack through the arm tackle from Harris. He's through to the free safety. Big run for the Alouette running back.
9 carries, 50 yards for Brandon Rutland. Why not again? You talked about the blemishes on Jonathan Crompton's game card today. This is a guy who has shown, though, that he gets unfazed by this stuff. His numbers are very pedestrian when you think about some of the great quarterbacks and the numbers that have been put up this season, particularly a quarterback who is 9-2. He is one of those outliers.
Yeah, well, he's not a guy who's thrown for big yardage, but the thing he has done, particularly more recently in the street, is he's avoided interceptions. Really his breakthrough as he came on through for a bunch of yards in the loss to Winnipeg. He threw 3 picks in that game, including a couple of deflected balls, but has largely avoided interceptions during his time as a starter, and that's been a huge part of his success, and that's what has, I would say, overcome the lack of big numbers throwing the football, is that he has taken care of the ball.
Great catch from Brandon London, and they get a very good spot here, close to the first down. They'll measure here. London gets bent like a pretzel by... Gone his way, an objectionable conduct, a roughing call, but also a DPI that did go the Owls' way. A challenge call. It's his catch here that moves the sticks.
And that time able to get a good release. There's a situation where Delvin Breaux, who's so adept with the jam at the line of scrimmage, wasn't able to get hands on Duron Carter.
Brandon Rutledge. So, like Luke Tasker, the apple does not fall far for Duron Carter. His dad, no, he's pretty good. Pro Football Hall of Famer. Here on Labor Day, helped open up this stadium with John Saunders. Crompton, 2nd and 9, goes deep. And S.J. Green, not sure if that was a broken route or what, but that ball was not even close.
Yeah, timing a little bit off. Rico Murray was over top on Green on that one. It's going to be tough to get their big receiver open, S.J. Green. The middle receiver in this set with Carter and London. It looked like Green wanted to break it a little flatter, whereas Crompton wanted to throw him a little bit higher in terms of the angle coming out of that break.
Sean White, almost 88% this season. It's from a 33. It's up and it is through with the breeze. Keep in mind, Hamilton will have the wind in the 4th. Hamilton has the lead right now by 10. Sean White down to Main Street.
There's two pieces of advice that Steve Tasker gave his son Luke Tasker. One, tighten up your chin strap real tight because you don't want your helmet to come off when you're going into contact. And 2, think of contact as a reminder of the privilege to play the game. And that's what Tasker told us yesterday. But the funny thing is when his quarterback, and he really appreciates how much contact Tasker takes, when he sees Tasker come up with the ball after a big hit, Caleros comes over and laughs and kind of jokes and says, "Man, what a catch, what a hit you took." And Tasker's response, he just looks at Caleros and says, "Zach, but what's the next play?" Guys?
Yeah, just like Pops. 27-17 right now. Terrell Sinkfield taken down at the 33-yard line. Luke Tasker returns to the field. His dad's broadcasting in Atlanta today, I'm sure watching. But Luke credits his dad for a lot of what he has.
He was never a guy to say, you know, make sure you're the toughest guy on the field or something like that. That wasn't his message to me. But it took one play of watching him play the game to understand what he thought of physicality, and it was his game, you know. And he was smaller than I am, and playing on the Bills, and that was something that he was known for.
Certainly was. Son can take a lick and keeps on tick. And there's Sinkfield brought down by Gerald Brown.
Luke Tasker, much as Steve carved out a reputation for himself in the National Football League, Luke in a year and a half here in the CFL, making a name for himself as a terrific clutch receiver. The numbers, second down catches for first downs, ranking second in the league only to Adarius Bowman in that department.
This will be the final play, barring penalty, of the third quarter. Point Tie-Cat advantage. Batted down at the line of scrimmage. 15 more minutes, maybe a little more today. Two teams very close, separated by 10 points right now. Hamilton Tiger Cats 7-3 on the season when leading after 3. Montreal 1-7 when trailing. We'll see how it plays out in the final quarter of the Eastern Final. Hamilton, Steeltown, Tigertown, the Cats 15 minutes away of going back to another Grey Cup game in successive years, but the Montreal Alouettes are providing quite a challenge here today. The only difference in this ball game, essentially the 2 interceptions thrown by Jonathan Crompton that led to big points.
Yeah, contributing to the offensive touchdowns for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in this game, the 2 Nick Grigsby scores. It's been the story of the season series between these two teams, so no surprise.
Marty Gilliard has a couple of blocks and some room, and Gilliard has a good return up near the 50. One thing about the Montreal Alouettes, this is a team that has faced a lot of adversity this season and has been like a boomerang, has just kept coming back. They'd like to have these back, though.
Well, they certainly would. Moments after a Zach Collaros interception deep in Montreal territory gave the Owls the ball. There was that interception, led to a Nick Grigsby touchdown. This was the end of the Eric Harris interception return as a foot of a teammate lands on the head of Jonathan Crompton, popping his helmet off, making that one a pretty tough play all the way around.
Crompton, little fade route on the far sideline, and he was lucky that that wasn't taking the distance on a pick 6. Dave Stala, local guy here, former Cat, intended target, but wasn't close.
Yeah, long throw there to the wide side of the field. To Stala, Courtney Stephen was closing. Looked like he might have had a shot at that ball.
They up the volume here. Crompton, pocket closes, has to scamper, and he's brought down and stripped. The Cats have it. And this might be a good pickpocket here for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Crompton was going down, and it looked for a moment as he has been stripped, and right away they throw the challenge flag because the ruling is that Crompton was down.
So again, the situation, if the initial ruling were a fumble, then it would be automatically reviewed. But if the ruling is that he's down, the Tiger Cats would have to challenge to try to get it overturned to have it called a fumble.
Lyndon Gaydosh in on the play. Very close. Watch now as this ball is out. There it looks. Well, maybe
tough
not.
to tell where Crompton's arm is at that point. Crompton still had a hand on that football as Gaydosh was trying to pull it out.
This might be a better angle here.
Ruling on the field was
There's a face mask too. That looked like it was out.
Ruling on the field was the ball carrier was downward contact. The play will be reviewed.
It was kind of hanging on his elbow, on his forearm.
Yeah, it looks like he's starting to lose it. And Gaydosh has got a big paw on the football there as they're on their way down. So again, a determination of the exact second. And again, the Tiger Cats, that face mask can be called. in a review.
So Gaydosh, the #1 pick overall last year by the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the former Calgary Dino, could have another impactful play here. But again, there's the face mask that will also be seen by command. There's Brian Bulkey, who had a terrific season before being injured.
Well, the Tiger Cats have assembled great depth in terms of their national players. They're Canadians, the interior of that defensive line. Brian Bulkey, of course, as you mentioned, Ted Laurent, who is the most outstanding Canadian in the East Division this season.
So the face mask, if they see it and they rule on that, came before this. The alleged strip. And they're still looking at it at command. So right there, that ball looks like it's kind of just out.
Yeah, and there's where the knee touches. The left knee is the first thing to touch. Tough to see exactly where Crompton's hand is, but it certainly looks like Gaydosh is pulling it out of there.
Both sidelines now getting into it. Tiger Cats jawing over at the Alouettes. Referees trying to intervene, so too Ken Austin, getting everybody back. Well, here comes the official verdict.
After review, there's not enough video evidence to support that the ball carrier fumbled the ball prior. It's going to be third down.
So, third down. No fumble. Ticats will get the football back, but not at the Montreal 50. The Alouettes catch a break.
This is one of those situations around midfield where you always want to be aware of the possible fake, but you wonder sometimes if that may not have been communicated that much with the jawing going on back and forth, people worrying more about the review, maybe not expecting the return team to be out here. Be interesting to see if the Owls are willing to gamble at all.
They kick it the other way. Brandon Banks has to run over to the other side and bounces out of bounds. So the Cats get it back. The Cats have the lead. Zach Collaros trying to lead his team to next week, the final game of 2014. Time to check in on our sack attack today. A sack apiece. This was the regular season sack attack, brought to you by Purolator, tackling hunger across Canada. Both Montreal and Hamilton in the top 4 in the Canadian Football League.
Gabriel Napton, Ted Laurent had 9 each during the regular season, each with 1 today for their respective teams.
First down, Tiger Cats. They put it in the hands of Moses Madu. Billy Parker with a tackle up near the 35-yard line.
We saw Nick Grigsby a little earlier looking like he might have been getting some medical attention on the sideline. Seeing Moses Madu in to start this series.
Hamilton Tiger Cats have been a very good fourth quarter team, been able to finish. The Alouettes have not. Differential of -34 in the fourth, so they're going to have to change their fortunes here in a hurry. Collaros now with the rush. Incomplete pass, again looking for Tasker.
Yeah, that ball thrown just behind the intended target. Tasker is running that deep slant. Quick 2 and out for the Montreal defense.
Medlock out again. Marty Gilliard in the sunshine. Use up some of the clock here. Medlock has the wind. A booming kick. Gilliard at his 25. Corralled there. Brought down. Or is he? Still on his feet. Marty Gilliard with a penalty flag down. Just shoves aside Justin Medlock. For a moment, Gilliard looked like he was down after a gain of 2, then robbed for another 15 or 16. Will this send Montreal back?
During the return, holding. Montreal number 36, 10-yard penalty. First down.
10-yard penalty. S.J. Green has 2. Needs the hat trick to pull his team closer. 10-point difference in Hamilton.
Montreal Alouettes have come back from 1-7. And on September 7th against these Hamilton Tiger Cats, they came back from being down 21-7. They outscored Hamilton 31-10 in the second half of the ball game. No strangers to the comeback. Can't help but wonder if they might have one more left here today.
Far side, Brandon Rutley. Brought down by former Alouette Ed Gainey. Tom Higgins, after all of the losses, and they had piled up, and all the frustration that had boiled early in the season, as they started to win, and click, he said, we're writing a beautiful story here. Could be a fairy tale.
Still looking for that happy ending. Right now, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are standing in the way. Tiger Cats up by 10 with 11 minutes to go.
Right into the sunshine now. Against the wind, Crompton. Now here's the rush. He takes it himself. And he's brought down, but it's a first down as Jonathan Crompton, unflappable, sprints out of the pocket and resets the yard markers.
Well, it almost looked like Crompton was so busy looking downfield. His eyes are looking deep, and all of a sudden he looks right in front. And oh, there's absolutely nobody there. All the linebackers had bailed. He had all sorts of room to run with that football and pick up that first down.
Crompton puts his receivers in motion. Delorier and Gilliard, penalty flag. He throws it over the top. It's caught by S.J. Green, who will score. But is it coming back?
It was definitely clear that the Tiger Cats moved, but did anybody move on that offensive line?
Offside. Hamilton number 97.
It's a touchdown.
Touchdown on the play.
S.J. Green, 63 yards. The hat trick. And sudden silence.
Watch the right guard here. Ryan Bauman is looking back, and this is what leads Ted Laurent, the D-line, to drop offside. As Bauman turned and taps the center, Luc Brodeur-Jourdain. Laurent jumps, and that offside gets called. It's a free play. Jonathan Crompton takes the deep shot, and S.J. Green, as you alluded to moments ago, completes the hat trick. S.J. Green today, 6 catches, 127 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
What a playoff game this has become. 3 points now between these two teams who are dead even in their record. Similar comebacks on the season. Perfect shot to S.J. Green. And a game full of big plays for two teams that really haven't made a lot of big plays this season.
Not something that they've relied on for sure, but one of the things that has been a part of Jonathan Crompton's game, part of Ryan Dinwiddie's offensive scheme, is the willingness from time to time to take those shots, take advantage of the fact that they have big receivers, put the ball up and have confidence in the likes of Green, Carter, London to go up and make plays. That's what Jonathan Crompton just did to get the Montreal Alouettes within a field goal.
Sickfield behind some blocks, thrown to the turf. 9:49 to go, 27-24, and a raucous crowd quickly becomes quiet. How about Jonathan Crompton, though? Under duress, throws a couple of picks. A lot of quarterbacks who've just started their career would melt in the spotlight.
Yeah, I mean, he's a low-stress, no-pressure guy, a resilient guy, a short memory guy in terms of the mistakes. He's not going to worry about them later in the game.
So is this guy. Kolaris breaks me.
Great call.
Couple of gunslingers, 2 quarterbacks, by the way, for the last 20 years. Their combined starts in the playoffs, just 1 for the first time.
A nice execution here. It ends up almost like a wheel route. Nick Grigsby's going to go on kind of a swing path and then take it up the sideline. You get that rub on the inside that creates a collision, knocks his defender off and creates an easy throw, an easy completion for Zach Kolaris. Nice job by Sickfield on the rub.
Pistol formation now. Grigsby fumbled the football, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats looked like they pounced on it.
Yeah, it looked like big Brian Simmons, Cats' top offensive lineman, climbed on top of that one.
What a terrific feature on Brian Simmons in our pregame show done by Brian Williams, and talking about his adversity faced as a youngster with his feet. Check it out on tsn.ca. Become a mainstay on that line.
Simmons, Oklahoma product. Played most of his CFL career as a tackle before bouncing inside this year. Solidified this O-line.
A power sweep left. And Banks ripped down by Gerald Brown. They've had an ongoing rivalry conversation today, but it looks like a first down as Banks comes in to give the last word.
A good job by the Alouettes stringing things out.
They have to measure. No, they won't. They'll move the sticks. Talked about this is the first time in 20 years that 2 quarterbacks have made the fewest starts in the game. Just 1 between these 2. That will be broken later today. With Bo Levi Mitchell and Mike Riley, who have not made a playoff start. The Battle of Alberta.
Year of change, certainly. The quarterback position. Changing of the guard.
Double tights. Quick hitter again. Brandon Banks having an outstanding day. Snags it, snares it, takes it out of bounds. 5-yard gain.
Banks made that spin after the catch. Spinning away from contact, was hoping to stay in bounds and turn it up.
We'll give him 6, as a matter of fact, so it will be 2nd and 4. Hamilton trying to use up a lot of the clock, too. Montreal has not won in Hamilton their last 7 playoff appearances. Dump pass. Madu, a cutback. First down.
Well, once again, the Tiger Cats do a nice job creating a rub on the inside to free up Moses Madu, headed for the flat. Quick hitter for Zach Kolaris to get it in the hands of his running back, who picks up that first down.
Last time these teams met in Hamilton in an Eastern Final, 1998. memorable finish. Cats won that day too. Collaros throws out of bounds. Face some heat again.
And John Bowman not fooled by the play action there. The fake toss out to the wide side to Madu, and then the bootleg into the boundary by Collaros. But John Bowman, veteran defensive end out of Wingate, maintaining those contained responsibilities on the backside, making life difficult for the Tiger Cat QB.
Nick Grigsby checks in to the huddle. 2nd and 10. 6 minutes to go, 4th quarter. Far side and through the hands of Terrell Sinkfield, a ball that looked very catchable. Wondering whether it was right into that sun on the far side.
Sinkfield, the outside receiver here, is pushing deep, working back to the ball. It just looks like he loses this one.
And losing it means 3rd down, and that's Justin Medlock. So we'll come outside the 40-yard line. 42-yarder. 2 for 2 today. This would stretch the lead to 6. Kick is up with the wind, and it is good. 30-24. 5:28 to go. Medlock has his own hat trick in the Eastern Final. The CFL playoffs on TSN are brought to you by GMC. We are professional grade. Rod Black, Dwayne Ford, Matthew Shinetti, Brian Williams, our entire crew here. Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, headed for a finish here in the Eastern Final. Crowd cranks it up. Crompton off to Deron Carter, nowhere to roam. Grey Cup week begins tomorrow, awaiting the combatants. Battle of Alberta later. Thanksgiving week in the States for those of you watching on ESPN. Final week of the CFL season. Hamilton trying to get back to the Grey Cup game. Crushed last year in Regina. Crompton, there's the heat again. Penalty flag down as Gilliard made the catch.
Yeah, it looked like S.J. Green in the left slot was offside. He tried to catch himself at the line of scrimmage. He's trying to time up that waggle motion towards the line of scrimmage.
Montreal number 19. That penalty's declined. 3rd down.
That timing award, although S.J. has been sensational today. 3 touchdowns. Sean White will boot this to 2 returners. Terrell Sinkfield and Brandon Banks. Good kick into the wind. It's Banks. Stutter step. Another. Shakes one. And still another. No way. Brandon Banks down the sideline. There he goes. Look out. Not again. It's a touchdown. Holy smoke. He's done it again.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Brandon Banks Show.
Oski, wow. What a run again from Brandon Banks.
This one looked like he was done. at the point of attack, right when he caught the football. In the last one, you could see the wall set up. You could see it form. He was 30 yards downfield before anyone was near him. This time, there are defenders right there when he catches the ball. Banks just dances a little bit, makes a couple miss, and gone.
Well, it's essentially a 2-touchdown game. And guess who has 2 touchdown returns? They've had a lot of great returners in this city. This guy has become a superhero.
He emerges from the crowd, surrounded by returners. You try to set up that net of cover guys. They had the net set up, and Banks made the great escape. And Jeff Reinbold knows he's gone.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I don't think it's not special for Jeff Reinbold, who a couple years ago was the defensive coordinator of these Montreal Alouettes.
Wake up all day.
Brandon Banks, 6 punt returns today, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. Speedy B, crazy legs, whatever you call him. He has become the man in Hamilton. So now the Alouettes face even more adversity. 37-24, and they're going to have to score in a hurry. This guy's capable too. Chris Rainey up near the 40. Well, the Brandon Banks show has been extraordinary. Keep in mind, that could be 3. 1 was taken back earlier.
Yeah, and what the other remarkable thing about this team, I mean, they've had, you talk about the great returners here, especially recent history, Chris Williams now with the Chicago Bears, Marcus Thigpen. I mean, they've had 3 different guys this year in Banks, Sinkfield, and Quincy McDuffie, who's on the practice roster, have all returned kicks for touchdowns this season.
Crompton goes over the top. So there you go, all those guys returning. And yes, Brandon Banks is ridiculously fast and a great returner, but the constant with all of that is Jeff Reinbold's special teams unit that helps set that up.
Well, and, you know, we'll talk a lot, and it'll be much discussed, the return game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats today. But remember, special teams played a huge role in that game in week 20 as well. There was a fumble recovery by their punt unit, an onside punt that they recovered.
Penalty flags, holding. This is coming back. Eric Delorier up near the 50. That extra time that was afforded to Jonathan Crompton because of his lineman had the clutches on. And so, after Brandon Banks ignites.
Holding. Montreal number 59. 10-yard penalty. Still second down.
Brandon Banks ignites this place, this city again. We have the 3-minute warning. 3 minutes away. The Hamilton Tiger Cats can race to Vancouver for the 102nd Grey Cup game. Brandon Banks igniting the crowd. Mike Riley getting ready for the Western Final in Calgary. Stamps and Eskimos coming up. This one has had it all, and it's still not over. 2:53. Montreal needs a couple of quick scores. One in a hurry, and could make it interesting. Cats rush 3. Crompton, near sideline. Marty Gilliard should have stepped out of bounds. They have to save some time on the clock here.
Montreal needing, in the case of a 2-possession ball game, with under 3 minutes to go. I mean, they're playing 3-down football already.
It's 3rd and 5 now. 3rd and 5. And essentially, again, this could be it. Hamilton can stop them. Play action. Crompton's in trouble. Throws. They're not going to get it, it looks like. Right before the first down marker. The Hamilton Tiger Cats are going to take over. And as they do, on Montreal's side of the field, with great field position.
The pressure that forced by Justin Hickman, who got the upfield penetration immediately. Prevents this one from getting going. Zach Collaros going to take to the field with his offense to try and chew up this clock. 2:28 remaining.
Brandon Banks out there with Grigsby. Brandon Banks. 2 touchdowns, punt returns last time that happened. Ties the CFL playoff record. Larry Taylor for the Alouettes against the Eskimos back in 2008 at the Big O. Grigsby, right side. Penalty flag late. There'll be a roughing call here near the 40. Kent Austin, 2:21 away from taking his team back to the Grey Cup game. Bitter pill to swallow last year. They were demolished in the game. The final. Changed a lot of personnel this year. A lot of different faces.
A remarkable amount of turnover.
Face mask. Montreal. 15-yard penalty. First down, Hamilton.
Remarkable turnover, this Hamilton roster for a team that won the East Division last season and went to the Grey Cup. And that turnover contributed to the slow start for the Tiger Cats. But like the Montreal Alouettes, the players bought into the program. They stayed the course. Now they're 2 minutes and 21 seconds away from going back to the big game.
Grigsby behind Collaros. They'll keep it on the turf. 1st and 10. Down near the 20-yard line.
And as you dissect this ball game from a Montreal perspective, 2 touchdowns given up on special teams, 2 touchdowns resulting directly from offensive turnovers. You can't really fault the Montreal defense in this ball game.
And those 2 turnovers led to points. 2 Brandon Banks returns led to more. Bear Woods drops Grigsby at the 20. So they'll bring Medlock out here.
Timeout, Montreal.
Successful field goal still makes it a 2-possession game. The Alouettes, who have performed some miracles all year in many ways, the way they have come back from near dead at 1-7.
Brandon Banks, where his second touchdown in particular stands out, is where it changes the face of this game. So much of Montreal's success offensively has been an ability to keep Hamilton off balance. Pass, run, play action, bootleg, and so on. You get into a situation in the 3-minute range in a 2-score ball game, well, suddenly it's clearly going to be pass. There's no more balance, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats took advantage of that.
Medlock, 4 for 4. That should just about do it. 40-24 here at Tim Hortons Field. The CFL playoffs on TSN are brought to you by Wendy's Bacon Portobello Mushroom Melt. Back and available for a limited time. Wendy's, now that's better. King Kong, Angelo Mosca. The last time the Hamilton Tiger Cats had won 6 in a row at home, which is soon to be 7, was 1966, when Angelo Mosca was roaming these parts. And guess where Angelo Mosca is likely going next week? And I wonder if Joe Kapp is going as well.
No
Back
comment.
to Vancouver.
No comment.
The unofficial mayor of Steeltown has to be happy. Crompton tried to deliver it. Snuffed out again. Courtney Stephen. Book your tickets, Hamilton. You're going to Vancouver. Another masterful job today from Orlando Steinauer. You know, you look at the Cats. Last time they won the Grey Cup was 1999. The year before, they went to the Grey Cup in '98 and lost. And learned something in '98 that helped them in '99. Well, one step closer. One more game to play. Waiting in the wings, Stampeders and Eskimos. Battle of Alberta about to be waged after this one. They'll keep this on the ground. Let the time tick out. Nick Grigsby. And what a valuable acquisition late in the season. A gift in many ways for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah, absolutely. A guy who, as an all-purpose back, good receiver out of the backfield, obviously good in the ground game, willing blocker in terms of pass protection. Been a perfect fit for this offense. It's been a work in progress as you see Brandon Banks, another guy whose role became more clearly defined as the season went on, and we talked to Kent Austin about Banks yesterday. I asked him, has he exceeded your expectations? And he said, you know, really, he's become what we hoped he would become when we put him on our negotiation list and were able to get him signed last season. Over the course of this year, he's developed into the kind of player that we had hoped he would become. And what a difference Banks has made. Not just today, but again, remember, he's the guy that had the big touchdown catch in week 20 to help the Tiger Cats secure first place in the East. A bye last week, which was critical. And this home playoff game for the Eastern Final.
3rd down and 1. Kalaris stays in the gun with Grigsby. Turns and hands, and not sure on the spot if he's going to get it. Had to get to the 35-yard line. 43 to go. Not really going to matter at this point. Montreal will bring their offense on the field. How about this stadium, though, and this place? You know, it took them a long time to build this place. Some controversy. It was delayed interminably, it seemed. And then Labor Day came. The celebration. This team has not lost in the place that Chris Berman affectionately calls the donut box. Here at Tim Hortons Field.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, right now, nobody remembers the delays.
Exactly. They have been magic here. Brandon Rutley. Last time they won an Eastern Division final was in this neighborhood, just not in this stadium, at Iberwin. Ozzie, Paul Dallas Baldiston picked a last-second field goal in '98. And again, they won the Grey Cup the next year. Here's Rainey. Again, clock ticking down to 25. Key here for the Cats, just get a tackle, stay healthy. Get ready to pack up. Head west. They're going indoors to BC Place. Down to 15. Clock will tick down.
Now Simone Lawrence in on the tackle. This will be a nice birthday present for his mom, by the way.
We want to say happy birthday to Amanda, watching an Upper Darby, Philadelphia area. Time ticks down some more here. Maybe time for one more. For the Montreal Alouettes, a remarkable, amazing ride. 1-7 to 9-9 to the Eastern Final. Hamilton Tiger Cats 1-6. A Tiger Cat turnaround. Crompton airs it out, end zone. That's it. The Cats, on an incredible ride, have come all the way back and will go back to the Grey Cup. When you've got Banks, you've got returns. That's what he did today again, Brandon Banks. Unforgettable afternoon for this young man. Zach Collaros, first season at the helm, knocked out literally and figuratively in game 2, missed 5 games, came back, and the Cats just kept winning.
Oh, they sure did. And that seemed like that break allowed Zach Collaros to sit back and really get a handle on this Tiger Cat offense. And he has been lights out since his return, leading this team's turnaround.
Eastern Division champions again. Young man who says, you know, amazing thing about Zach Collaros, you ask him, he says, I don't want compliments. I don't need compliments. All I want to do is give it my best and try to win. Says everything about the guy. S.J. Green, one-on-one. The Alouettes said they would win. Bulletin board material. They could not come through on their promise. Came close, though, especially into that fourth quarter. Nick Grigsby, we'll see him next week. Amazing turnaround for these Cats, especially Zach Collaros as well. He's with Matthew Shinetti.
Give us a sec, Rod. As you can tell, lots of energy here. Zach, first, you have to tell me what was going through your mind as you're watching Brandon Banks run down the sidelines into the end zone.
Look at that guy. I don't even know. He does so much for us offensively and in special teams, obviously. You know, he had 3 punt returns today. You know, they kept him in the game for a little bit, but I don't even know what to say about Speedy B, man. He's the most electrifying player in the league. I hope we keep him here.
You and I spoke in the offseason when you were making your decision whether to go here or Winnipeg. You said you wanted to be here because this was a team that you knew could go to a championship. Yep. You're going to the Grey Cup. How does that feel?
It feels awesome. It feels great. We still got one more to go. we still got one more to go, and we're excited for the opportunity whoever we play.
You were talking. How good, though, does this victory feel to be the champs of the East?
It feels great. I could be a real asshole right now. I got respect for those guys over there. You know, they're a good football team, a good defense, and, you know, one day I'll tell you how I really feel about all of it, you know?
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
All right. Our microphone did not go out at the right time, apparently. We apologize for that, but Zach Collaros caught up in the emotion of the moment, I am sure. How do you begin to describe what Speedy B did today?
In a word, impact. Brandon Banks is an impact player. He is a game changer. Today contributing 226 return yards, 2 touchdowns, 35 rushing yards, 33 receiving yards. For those of you who aren't math majors, that's 294 total yards. Yeah, that's about 2 yards a pound from Brandon Banks.
Well, Speedy B, he's hard to catch, but Matthew Shinetti has caught up with him.
Speedy, you have to tell me, do you have any other speed but just blazing fast?
I don't, man. I'm just out here trying to make plays for my team. The other 11 guys help me out to do what I do. I'm just happy we was able to get to the Grey Cup and go back, man.
This guy right here. When we were in Guelph last year, when you were signed by the Ticats, you said, making plays is what I do. Have you reached that point where you feel like the most electrifying player in this league?
I definitely do. I mean, I got all the self-confidence. There's a lot of guys that's electrifying this league. But me personally, I just got a lot of self-confidence. Every time I get the ball in the hand, I just want to score so bad. And it's working out for me, so I'm just happy to be here.
So much talk about Montreal's comeback this year. You guys were 1-6 and then 2-7. Did you believe you could get to the Grey Cup?
Of course, the whole time. I mean, with the story we had last year, coming in, the guys had the same type of story. And then you got a coach with Coach Austin Kent. He's a great coach, keep us going every day. So we just got better every day and just stuck to our plan and got better each game and won. Back at the Grey Cup, man.
You ready to speed into BC place?
I'm ready to speed into BC place, not in the cold. So we back in the Grey Cup, and it's going to be a show.
Thanks, Brent.
Thank you.
Brandon Banks, former Washington Redskin. The Cats ready to accept that Eastern Division trophy for the second straight year. Quite a win here. A game that was very close into that fourth quarter. Really decided by special teams. One guy, Brandon Banks, broke it open. Incredibly. They'll talk about this day from that guy for a long, long time. There's Coach Austin. We're ready for the presentation. Let's go down to Tim Hortons Field, and here's Brian Williams. We're just awaiting that microphone. Brian's mic down below, and we'll reboot here in a moment. All the people in Ohio, people watching Cincinnati. Bearcat turned Tiger Cat could become a Grey Cup champion.
Yes.
Zach Collaros, who would have thought, again, he was thrown into the fire as an apprentice to Ricky Ray down the road in Toronto last week. And that's kind of when we had a feeling something good was going to happen with this young man.
Immediately effective. And here in his first full year as a starter, he's taken his team to the Cup.
Once again, let's go down to Brian Williams. Brian?
All right. Thank you once again, Rod Black. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president and Chief Operating Officer of the Canadian Football League, Michael Copeland, to present the Eastern Championship Trophy to the Hamilton Ticats. Michael.
On behalf of the Canadian Football League and our Board of Governors, it's my pleasure to present the 2014 East Division Championship Trophy and a trip to the Grey Cup to Tigertown and your Hamilton Tiger Cats. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, head coach Ken Austin, you're going back to the Grey Cup for the second year in a row, but with a very different football team.
A great football team. It's just, I could speak for the rest of the staff. the whole organization to coach these guys is a huge privilege. Just an unbelievable group of guys that just showed complete resilience the whole year. And thank you so much for the fans today. What a difference y'all made. Thank you. I mean that. Yeah.
You were second guessed at the beginning of the season when you released a veteran in Henry Burris and decided to go with Zach Collaros. What did you see in Collaros, and can you talk about his progression from that first game to standing here today?
Well, I've said it quite a bit. I mean, Zach is an unbelievable competitor. He's accurate, he's tough, he's a great decision maker. He pays a price in his preparation. He cares about his teammates. He's completely unselfish, and more importantly than anything else, he's a winner.
You're a former quarterback. You've won as a quarterback and as a head coach. Is it fair to say that Collaros is the perfect fit for this city?
Oh, yeah. He's right in with the personality of this city for sure, and, as well as the rest of our players.
Ken Austin, congratulations. Ken Austin and the Hamilton Ticats, Rod, heading to the Grey Cup a week from today at BC Place Stadium in Vancouver as we go back upstairs.
Well, Zach Collaros is a part of Hamilton, but they can give the keys to the city to this guy tonight. Brandon Banks. They won't touch that trophy. They want the Grey Cup next week. Tiger Town roars again. They're off to the Grey Cup.